Hi everyone, welcome to Korean Express YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to learn the conjugation of Korean verbs in plain form. We have already learned the conjugation of Korean verbs in the casual, informal and formal form, and that too in the past, present and future tense. So, if you don't know what is this conjugation and how to conjugate Korean verbs, then you can go and watch my complete playlist on conjugation of verbs on Korean Express YouTube channel. I will also share the link of that particular playlist in the description. Okay, now there is another form of conjugation, that is the plain form. So in this video we will talk about the conjugation of verbs in the plain form. Let's start. Now first of all, what is the plain form? The plain form of conjugation is a very essential aspect of the Korean language, as it offers a versatile way to express yourself in both written and spoken communication. Okay, so जितनी casual, informal और formal form important है Korean language में, उतनी ही plain form of conjugation भी important है. Okay, and it is used in both written and spoken communication. Fine. Now we saw that the casual, informal and formal forms, they vary according to the level of politeness. Okay, but this is not the case with the plain form of conjugation. Plain form is neutral. It doesn't have to do anything with the politeness and the formality in speech in Korean language. Okay, so this is a difference between the plain form and the other three forms of conjugation that we have learned so far. Now, where we are going to use this form of conjugation? So, it is commonly used in writing diary entries, newspaper articles and various academic papers and books. Okay, तो बहुत सारे written form में ये use होती है, and अगर आप कोरियन बुक्स पढ़ते हैं, कोरियन लिटरेचर पढ़ते हैं, देन यू विल कम अक्रॉस दिस फॉर्म ऑफ कॉन्जुगेशन वेरी मच. बहुत फ्रीक्वेंटली आप देखेंगे कि प्लेन फॉर्म ऑफ कॉन्जुगेशन इज यूज्ड इन वेरियस बुक्स एंड डायरीज एंड न्यूज़पेपर्स एंड ऑल. ओके, एंड देयर इज वन मोर यूसेज. It is also used when one is speaking or writing in a general way without pointing to a specific person. Okay, for example, you must have noticed in books and in speech, the person who is speaking or the person who is writing, they do not point out at a particular specific person. Okay, they are talking as a whole to whoever listening to them, who is reading their text. It is a general speech or a general written form of communication. ओके, यहाँ पर किसी स्पेसिफिक पर्सन को पॉइंट आउट करने के लिए हम प्लेन फॉर्म कॉन्जुगेशन यूज नहीं करते. व्हेनेवर यू आर टॉकिंग और राइटिंग इन ए जनरल वे, तब आप प्लेन फॉर्म ऑफ कॉन्जुगेशन देखेंगे. ओके, नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न हाउ टू यूज दिस फॉर्म ऑफ कॉन्जुगेशन इन द प्रेजेंट, पास्ट एंड फ्यूचर टेंस. सो फर्स्ट लेट्स स्टार्ट विथ प्रेजेंट टेंस. नाउ द रूल इज, इफ यू वांट टू कॉन्जुगेट ए वर्ब इन द प्रेजेंट टेंस, particularly in the plain form, then you have to add either nien followed by tha or ninta to the verb stem. Okay, you have to add either of these two endings to the verb stem, right? Now, when you have to use which ending, here are the two subdivisions of this rule. If the verb stem ends in a vowel, then we have to add nien to the verb stem followed by tha. ओके, अगर वर्ब स्टेम की एंडिंग एक वोवल से हो रही है, तो आप क्या ऐड करेंगे उसमें? नियन फॉलोड बाय था. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लुक एट दिस वर्ब manada, to meet. So the verb stem is manna, we have removed da, and the stem that is left is manna. Now because it ends in a vowel, we have to attach niyan followed by tha to conjugate it in the plain form of conjugation. So it becomes mananta, manna and attached niyantha to it. It becomes mananta. Okay, Similarly, if the verb stem ends in a consonant, then we have to add niyan tha to the verb stem. For example, we have the verb makta, which means to eat. So here the verb stem is mak. So you can see that the stem ends in a consonant. So we have to attach niyanta to conjugate it, and it becomes moknanta. Okay? Okay, now let's look at some example sentences to understand it more clearly. First example is I drink coffee. Now in Korean it will be 나는 커피를 마신다. I is 나는. You can also use 저는. It doesn't matter. As I said that in plain form the formality has no role. Okay, it is neutral. I have used 나는 because more generally you will see na being used for I instead of 저. The Korean verb for to drink is 마시다. So we have to conjugate it in the plain form, in the present tense. The stem ends in a vowel, so the ending will be niyan followed by tha, and therefore it becomes masinda. Alright, next example is I read newspaper. 나는 신문을 읽는다. 나는 is I, newspaper is 신문, and 읽는다 is to read in present tense. Here the stem is ending in consonant, so the ending will be ninda. Okay? Alright, now let's move ahead and talk about the past tense conjugation in plain form. So the rule is to conjugate a verb in the past tense, we need to add either atta or atta to the verb stem. Okay, now again there are two cases for this rule. If the last vowel in the verb stem is either a or o, then atta is added to the verb stem. Okay, now here when you are talking about past tense, you have to check the last vowel of the stem. Okay, it does not happen with the present tense. Present tense में हम क्या चेक करते हैं कि stem vowel से end हो रहा है या consonant से. Past tense में आप क्या चेक करोगे कि verb stem का जो last vowel है वो क्या है. So if the last vowel is either a or o, then you have to add atta. And if the last vowel in the verb stem is anything other than a or o, then you have to add atta to the verb stem. Okay, now this looks very simple, but it's a little bit tricky because we are talking here about the last vowel. Now there are two subdivisions for each of these two cases. First one is if the last vowel in the verb stem is either a or o and the verb stem ends in a consonant. And second case is if the last vowel in the verb stem is either a or o and the verb stem ends in a vowel. These are the two cases, and similarly it also happens with the second rule. Okay, now we are going to talk about this in detail. So first case is if the last vowel in a verb stem is either a or o, then what you have to do, you have to add atta to the stem. Okay, now the case comes if the stem ends in a consonant or if the stem ends in a vowel. So when the stem ends in a consonant, then you have to attach atta directly to the verb stem. For example, look at this verb thatta. Verb stem is that. Notice the last vowel, it is a, but the stem ends in a consonant. So atta gets directly attached to the verb stem and it becomes thadatta. Okay, this is how this rule works. And if the stem ends in a vowel, then the atta, it gets merged to the verb stem. Look at this example, khada, which means to go. Now here the stem ends in a vowel, the last vowel being a. So ending that is going to get attached to the stem is atta. Now this atta will get merged with the stem of the verb. So a and a, it will merge and it will become a. So it will become khata. Okay, होता क्या है कि stem का जो वॉवल है, जो लास्ट वॉवल भी है और स्टेम वॉवल से एंड हो रहा है, तो बेसिकली दी स्टेम इज एंडिंग इन ए वॉवल. तो जो वॉवल है वो जो अपकमिंग वॉवल है दैट इज आ, उससे मर्ज हो जाएगा और जो फाइनल वॉवल बनेगा, जो फाइनल कॉम्बिनेशन बनेगा वो हमारे कॉन्जुगेटेड फॉर्म में शो होगा. अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू आइडेंटिफाई कि दो वॉवल्स मर्ज होके क्या फाइनल वॉवल बनता है. सो you don't have to worry about that because I gave a complete list about these combinations in my video on conjugation of Korean verbs in the past tense. Okay, now the next case is if the last vowel in a verb stem is anything but a or o, then you have to add otta to the stem. Again, there are two subdivisions, whether the last syllable ends in a consonant or it ends in a vowel. So, if the stem ends in a consonant, then you have to attach otta directly to the verb stem. For example, we have the verb mokta. Stem is mok. Notice the last vowel. It is neither a nor o. So, the ending that is going to get attached to it is otta and it will become magatta. Very simple. Okay. If the stem ends in a vowel, then otta gets merged to the verb stem. For example, we have the verb peuda, which means to learn. The stem is peu, so the last vowel, it is not ending in either a or o. It is u, and also the stem is ending in a vowel, the vowel being u. So, this upcoming ending, that is otta, it will get merged with the stem and the final version after conjugation will be pewatta. Okay, this is how it works. Now let's look at some example sentences to understand the concept of conjugation more clearly. First one is I closed the window. 나는 창문을 닫았다. Okay, window is 창문 and the verb to close is 닫다. So in past tense it is 닫았다. Next is my father went to the hospital. 나의 아빠는 병원에 갔다. My father is 나의 아빠는 and hospital is 병원, and 에 is a Korean particle that is used to denote the location where someone is going. Okay, and khada is the verb to go, so in past tense it becomes khatta. Next example is I ate kimchi. 나는 김치를 먹었다. So here we have used the verb 먹다 in the past tense. Very easy. Next example is my friend learnt Korean. 나의 친구는 한국어를 배웠다. Here the Korean verb 배우다 is being conjugated in the past tense. Okay, so these example sentences, it was very easy to understand them once you know the rules of conjugation. Okay, now let's move ahead and talk about the future tense. It is very easy. This is the easiest tense you have to know if you want to conjugate in the plain form. Okay, whatever the ending is, you have to add khetta to the verb stem. If you want to conjugate a verb in the future tense in plain form, just add khetta to the verb stem. There is no difference in conjugation whether the stem ends in a vowel or in a consonant. Okay, unlike we saw with the past and present tense, it does not happen with the future tense, right? For example, the verb is 먹다, to eat. Stem kya hai? 먹. Don't worry about the ending, just add khetta, 먹겠다. Very simple. Now let's look at the examples. First one is I will eat ramen. 나는 라면을 먹겠다. Very easy, no need to explain because it's just so simple. Next example is my sister will go to the park. 나의 언니는 공원에 가겠다. My sister is 나의 언니는. Here you can also use nuna. Onni is used when you are a female and you are referring to your elder sister. And nuna is used when you are a male and you are referring to your elder sister. You can also use 여동생. 여동생 is the Korean word for younger sister. Okay, depends on the context. Park is 공원 and to go is 가다. So in future tense it is 가겠다. Okay, alright. So today we learned the conjugation of Korean verbs in the plain form. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe Korean Express YouTube channel. Thank you.